Research projects are an amazing way to engage students with the language, and they can also be an awesome opportunity to explore history, geography, culture, and important people who speak the target language that you're teaching. These projects allow for creativity, critical thinking, research skills, and if you want, collaboration. But they can be kind of a headache to organize, especially if you've never done one before. So today what I wanted to do is to explain some of my favorite tips for doing a successful research project with your students in Spanish class. Let's jump right in. Hi, my name is Ashley, aka Señorita Spanish, where I provide easy to use resources to save you time and energy while you're lesson planning. If you're new here, I just want to make sure that you know that links to everything that I mentioned will be down in the description box below. So tips for a successful research project in your classes. And this, I just want to be clear, is mostly for secondary classes. I've worked with middle school through high school, not really with elementary. So if you're here for elementary, some of these might apply, but some of them just won't be appropriate for your classes. So sorry. So first and foremost, you need to have clear expectations. And I both mean for what the outcome of the project actually looks like and turns out like, but also for the language that they use. If you want your novice students to be doing a research project in the target language, that's going to be pretty difficult for them. Well, depending on where they are in their language proficiency, of course. But you just need to have realistic expectations first and foremost. Students need a lot of time in the target language before they're able to output. So making sure that you're giving them lots and lots of modeling, lots and lots of reading examples, lots and lots of ways to talk about people and their lives before you do a biography research project and expect your students to output anything comprehensible, anything like that you would be proud of putting on a wall as a presentational research project. Hispanic Heritage Month happens pretty early in the school year for most calendar years. So if you're thinking about having a Spanish 1 or Spanish 2 class do a research project in the target language, you really need to front load and model for them what does that look like. And then you also need to speak with your students about what you expect to see. You know, they're not going to be writing full, big, beautiful paragraphs with multi-sentences that are very connected and fluid. That's just not appropriate for a brand new novice. On the other hand, if you are doing this project with an upper level class, your language expectations can be quite different. Spanish 3s and 4s who've been working with the language for much longer will hopefully have a different proficiency level, so you can set different language goals for them. But either way, whichever level and whichever students you are working with, you need to just make sure that you're very clear. This is the proficiency level that we're working towards. This is what it looks like. This is what I want to see from you. And just make sure you're communicating that to your students at the beginning of the project. I talked about this a little bit in my How to Stop Using Google Translate video, but I really have found that talking to students about reasonable expectations, what can they actually expect to be able to do at whatever point in their language learning journey that they are on, that will help them feel less pressure to output something that they're just not capable of yet. The second secret that I have for you for a successful research project is to allow choice within reason. And I talk about this a lot in my choice boards video. Giving students a choice in what they're researching or who they're researching can increase student buy-in and really help them want to take ownership of what they're researching and how much they actually get into the project, rather than just like, okay, I'm checking off my boxes and doing my thing, right? When I say student choice within reason, I mean that there are some expectations that you do need to set, right? There are some people or some pieces of culture that probably just aren't the best to do a student research project on their own, especially one that's self-directed, depending on the ages and levels of your students and your school setting, right? Some things we're just not ready to talk about in a middle school or high school setting, and that's better safe for higher ed, or just, you know, some people just are not appropriate to research at all. We just don't need to focus on that aspect of our target culture. The third secret that I have for you is to check in with students along the way. Do not give them the outcomes and the objectives and the expectations and then be like, all right, cool, get to work, see you in 3 days. No, that's not going to turn out research projects like you were hoping for. They're probably not going to be something that you're going to be super excited about hanging on the wall or hanging out on a bulletin board in a shared space in your school. You need to check in and set little steps along the way. And this is especially true for middle school, but honestly, high school needs it too. They really do. So what I would recommend doing with this is setting up little points that just make sense to check in with your students on. For example, if you give them the outcome and the expectations and they've chosen their person, maybe the first day they're going to just start doing some preliminary research and jotting some notes down. Well, the second day that they're doing research, I would recommend just walking around and checking in and saying, what have you discovered so far? What do you still need to find? Are you finding websites that are helpful for you? Where do you need some more support? Just little conversations like that, so you can just get a feel for what your students are doing, right? Making sure they're staying on task, but you can also offer that support if necessary in case they are having a hard time. Research skills are not something that students just know on their own, right? We have to teach them to them. And so sometimes, even though you're not a core subject, you would think maybe they've done this in their ELA classes, maybe they've done this in a social studies class. This is one of those things that's our responsibility to teach as well. So thinking about different research skills that you can teach to your students will be helpful. This ties right into my next secret, my next tip for a successful research project for you. So secret number 4 is to bring in a specialist. And when I say a specialist, I mean like your school media specialist or your librarian or whatever your school is calling them. They are so good at this, and this is their job, right? So if you can, reach out to your school's library and say, hey, we're going to be doing a project on this topic, right? If you're doing Hispanic Heritage Month, maybe you're doing a country research project, maybe you're doing a biography research project, any of those kinds of things, and just give them a heads up about the topic. In my experience, what the librarian has done has compiled research websites, either ones that we have paid for as a district or just resources that are age appropriate, helpful, and easy to navigate for students and student friendly, right? Maybe student facing websites. And then they come into my room. We put it on the calendar, maybe it's one day, maybe it's 2 days, but that way I just have another set of hands and somebody who's an expert. Sometimes they even do like a little lesson on research and evaluating sources before the students get to work on that second or third day. And it is just really helpful to have somebody come in, especially somebody who knows the resources that your district has access to. So often districts are paying for websites that are for research projects, like for this. And we don't even know. I don't know if there's like a list posted somewhere or something, but I just never seem to know about it. So the media specialist, key. Okay, the last tip that I have for you, the last secret I have for you for a successful research project, this kind of is wrapping everything up, but it is to show off their stuff. And I actually would recommend that you tell students at the beginning when you're introducing the project that this is going to be the outcome, because it helps them take a little bit more pride, maybe put in a little bit more effort, but let students know, hey, we're going to be hanging these, in the hallway outside of our classroom, in the stairwell, maybe you have like an entryway where all the students are coming in the morning, along that hallway, maybe in the cafeteria, wherever makes sense. That's kind of a shared space in your school community. Hang up their finished project. And the reason why I recommend this is twofold. One, when we're talking about Hispanic Heritage Month, this is a great way to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month as an entire school, because you're taking this work that your Spanish students have done and you're bringing it into your school community. The second reason that I think that this is great to do is it helps students take that pride and show off their work, right? Their friends are going to see what they've done, their classmates are going to see, other teachers are going to see, admin are going to see. It helps to kind of show it off. And a nice little bonus to doing this is that it helps make your program more visible. Sometimes you might be worried about enrollment, you might be worried about your job. Doing things like this where it makes your classroom more visible, or it makes your program more visible, helps students in the school know, hey, we have a Spanish class and they are doing, right, whatever it is that you're up to. So any chance that you can take something that your students are doing and push it out to the school community as a whole is a great opportunity to get in front of, next year's students or possible future students as they're coming around to class registration time. Do you have any tips for research projects in your classes? If you do, or if there's anything that I missed, please drop me a comment down below. Remember, I see your comments, but when you add to a discussion like that, everybody else who sees this video can also see your comments and we can learn and grow together. So that's just a really helpful way to support other teachers in our community. So if you have any tips to add, please drop them in the comments below. So that was just 5 tips for a successful Hispanic Heritage Month research project with your classes. But if you want even more tips, activities, ideas, lesson plans, even different projects that you can do with your students during Hispanic Heritage Month, make sure you check out this video here. It's got everything that you need to know as you're thinking about planning for Hispanic Heritage Month, or maybe you're right in the middle of Hispanic Heritage Month and you just need to celebrate. Make sure you click over and check this out next. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.